Hey everyone, it's Richard Metal Fan here, bringing you guys an old school album review, and it's pretty much, as you can see, it's day 10 of quarantine for me right now, being stuck at my house, now 10 days in a row, but that's another story for another time. Bringing you guys an old school album review, and today I'm going to be talking about a debut album from one of my favorite bands. I actually saw him do a live stream of this on Twitch, so this whole album playthrough, or most of it, but yeah, as you can see below the title, today we're going to be talking about Ember to Inferno by Trivium, the band's debut album released in October of 2003 through Life Force Records. Now, in my opinion, this is Trivium's most underrated album. Like, literally nobody ever talks about Ember to Inferno, to be honest. Like, I don't really hear much from Trivium fans or anybody. A lot of people had forgotten about this album, which in my opinion I feel like is one of their most underrated albums. But yeah, a little bit of a back history for Trivium. They formed in 1999 in Orlando, Florida, from Matt Heafy, doing like a little talent show. He played like a New Leaf Clover by Metallica and stuff. And then I think some of the other members saw that and they got him tried out for Trivium. He was only 12 years old when he joined, which is crazy, and the rest of the other band members were like a few years older than him. And they were kind of impressed, and it was around 2003. Well, before this album, they had the self-titled blue demo, or call it Coloris, or whatever the fuck it's called, and I really would love to have like a physical copy of that, so if anybody knows where I can get one, just let me know. But anyway, it was around that time when they got signed to Light Force, and then in 2003, later that year, the same year as the Blue Demo, they put out Ember to Inferno. And what's crazy about this album is Matt Heafy was 17 years old when this was recorded and released, which is kind of nuts from his age. In fact, this is the only Trivium album to actually only have it be recorded as a three-piece, which has Matt Heafy doing all the vocals and guitars. There's a former bass player, Brent Young, plays bass on this, and Travis Smith plays drums on here. And this is before they got Corey and Paula wherever in the band. They joined like after this album was recorded and stuff. But yeah, and this album is kind of like love the production. Like Matt Heafy, just like this has more. His vocals on here were just brutal as ever. Like it's just mostly just growls. I mean, he does like just like yells, screams a lot, but there's like a little bit of clean singing in there. The bass on this and his guitar playing thing is just tied to just being as the only guitar player on this album, and just the bass on this album is pretty much audible and very well heard compared to like other albums. And Travis Smith on this album is just crazy, just like his fast splash drumming and double bass kicking throughout this album. But yeah, and just without further ado, I pretty much rambled on. Let's dive into this album track by track. Now, starting things off is Inception, The Bleeding Skies, which is a little short piece instrumental, which seems very ominous and very creepy and melodic, but it's very short. And which then goes into the next song being Pillars of Serpent. So it starts off with a very slow pummeling heavy beat and then goes into insanely fast riff, and as Matt Heafy sort of like screams, I'm alive, I'm alive. And this song just continues with intense in-your-face riffing. It's just some extreme drumming from Travis throughout, and the clean chorus comes in late in the song along with a nice solo. And that's the one thing that Trivium does better than any band today, is they bring emotion into their solos, even though they can shred pretty well. Next song on here is If I Could Collapse the Masses, which the song begins with a simple riff that picks up speed until like the opening lyrics, and then it just starts off very mid-tempo and just boom, hits you at a face of the miles per hour. And I love how Matt sort of like switches between heavy screaming and like clean singing throughout the song. And the solo on here is a little bit short for me, but it's still good. And then we go into Fugue, which is actually a re-recorded version from their EP. And this song starts off pretty much a sweet riff that continues through Matt's sort of like opening scream, and he once again manages to switch between his singing voice and throws it isn't just I just don't even know what to say. I'm getting way sidetracked, and this singing voice continuously throughout the song and throws in a great sounding solo. And another thing about this album is the production. It's excellent, and even though it's on a German label that first produced this album, is considerably small and little known, which is why I don't think a lot of people know about this album, but around the time when it first came out. Anyway, moving on to the next song on here, which is Requiem, which is one of my favorites on the album. It starts off very fast, and then throughout the versus the riff is just so simple yet so great, and the chorus is also very melodic and seems very thought out. And this band pretty much definitely puts a lot of time into their songs, and the breakdown at the end of the song is one of my favorites, as Matt sort of like yells, if the world ended today, would you suffer? And right, moving on to title track of the album, Ember to Inferno. And this song pretty much sums up the album's feel and shows what the band is to offer. A fast tremolo picking verse, as many of them are, follow up with some very melodic and epic sounding chorus. And once again, the chorus is very simple but so unique, and great harmonized middle solo, and just a great ending solo behind the chorus. And then pretty much we get a little bit of a break with the little interlude called Ashes, which this song is sort of like a break from all the metal insanity and gives the listener just some relaxed time. It's sort of like very weird sounding, much like Inception. It's a little louder on here. Moving on to Burn the Eye, which is another re-recorded version from the EP, and this version actually is okay, but I actually prefer the EP version. But the song itself starts off with some almost happy metal riff, then goes into an intense verse, and then another happy sounding riff, except the fact that the lyrics are on top of it are burn in your own hell. Another epic sounding chorus and a very fast solo, and the song ends on a unique harmonized riff that takes you into the next song, which is Falling Into Gray. And this is another one of my favorites on here. It seems so experimental and different from all the other songs. Instead of a fast verse, the guitar is just simple, held out notes with some sick double bass kicking riff in the back, which complement of Travis. I mean, this guy can just play some drums and has some very fast feet, and the chorus is very slow, but the most interesting part of the song is the solo. It starts off very slow and dreamlike, and then speeds up for very short periods and goes to another verse. Moving on to My Hatred, and this song is just simply okay. It has a similar verse riff, but a cool sounding light chorus, and the breakdown and solo is one of my favorites in the album, though. You can tell this isn't written by your everyday musician, and this is also another re-recorded version from their first EP. Yeah, and moving on to When All Light Dies, which is easily one of the most creative and best songs that I've ever heard. It starts off with a slow octave riff, and that reminds me of like something like Demons Rising. And then it goes into a fast riff and a good chorus a few times, and a short but sweet solo. And I really love how the bass on here is definitely audible. You can definitely hear Brent on this in here. And then the ending of the song is just so great. It's very melodic and sounding like the world is coming to an end. And that leads perfectly into A View of Burning Empires. Though short, it is one of the greatest instrumentals and album closers I've ever heard, simply because the name just fits so well. It sounds like what you would hear if you watched Everything Burns to the Ground. It is so beautiful and epic that caps this album off brilliantly. And this was actually, the last song on here, A View of Burning Empires, is actually the first intro being the intro track, Inception, Bleeding Skies, but this song was played in written verse, which is pretty interesting. Now overall, over here I have is a newer edition. As you can see, my copy is signed by Matt Heafy. And this actually has three bonus tracks, being Blinding's Tears Will Break the Sky, which is actually a re-recorded, the older version that will be re-recorded for the next album, Ascendancy. Let's see, same thing with Did the Seed, which will later become Ascendancy. And I actually kind of preferred these versions. I know the vocals sort of hear a little bit weird, and the production's kind of weird, but that's just me. And then the next song was just Demon, taken from their first demo, which I actually think is a really great song. Another underrated Trivium song, in my opinion. So yeah, so overall, Ember to Inferno by Trivium is a pretty good way to start off a career for this band and for this Florida metal band. So if I had to give this album a score, I'm going to give this probably a solid 9 out of 10. So yep, that's my review of Ember to Inferno by Trivium, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about it, and I'll see you all in the next video. And as always, keep it metal.